You know that weird feeling when she acts distant, but something underneath feels different. She is polite with everyone, yet with you, the energy keeps changing for no reason. One moment she is warm, then suddenly unreadable, and now you are questioning everything. That confusion is exactly why hidden attraction feels stronger than obvious interest. Because when feelings are concealed, your brain fills the silence with fear, hope, and obsession. And most men completely misread it, either chasing too hard or walking away too early. They think attraction always looks confident, obvious, and easy to decode from the outside. But real attraction, especially hidden attraction, often looks like contradiction, hesitation, tension, and control. That is the part most people never learn, and it changes every social interaction. When someone cares about your opinion, they rarely become smoother, they usually become stranger. So if mixed signals have been driving you crazy, pay attention to what follows. Because hidden attraction is not random, and once you see the pattern, everything sharpens. The first trick is noticing when her avoidance feels emotional instead of genuinely uninterested. But when attraction is there, distance often comes with extra self-awareness and strange timing. She looks away too quickly, leaves conversations early, then somehow circles back near you later. That is not confidence, and it is not indifference either, it is internal management. Her mind is trying to reduce exposure while her attention keeps pulling her back. Psychologically, attraction creates self-monitoring, and self-monitoring creates unnatural behavior. People cannot fully hide. So stop asking whether she seems relaxed and start asking whether she seems unusually affected. Another sign is when her body gives away interest before her words ever do. She might keep her face neutral while her feet angle towards you without thinking. She might fold her arms, yet her torso stays open whenever you step closer. She may pretend to scan the room, but her eyes keep checking your reactions. This matters because attention follows value, and the body tracks value before the ego admits it. And hidden attraction almost always leaks through what she monitors the least. Then there's the eye contact pattern that confuses almost everyone at first. If she stares boldly, that can mean attraction, but hidden attraction usually behaves differently. She looks, gets caught, instantly breaks eye contact, then returns a second later. That broken pattern is important because it reveals desire colliding with self-consciousness in real time. She wants contact, but she also wants plausible deniability if the moment feels exposed. So the question is not whether she looked, but how she handled being seen looking. That tiny sequence tells you more than a long conversation full of safe words. Now here is where many guys ruin the whole situation without realizing it. They notice hidden attraction, panic internally, and start performing instead of observing. Hidden attraction grows best in space, because space lets curiosity breathe and anticipation build. If you flood the moment with effort, she no longer gets to feel her own pull. That is why restraint is often more attractive than persuasion when interest is already present. You do not need to force a spark that is already trying to hide. Another clue is inconsistency and responsiveness that still carries emotional weight behind it. She replies slowly, but when she does, the message feels unusually considered. She disappears for hours, yet remembers tiny details you barely mentioned days earlier. She acts casual, but her questions land in places that only interest would reach. That means the delay is not always disinterest. Sometimes it is emotional pacing. She is trying not to look eager, because eagerness feels risky when attraction feels unconfirmed. This is where emotional intelligence beats overthinking, because context always matters more than one sign. So watch for investment hiding inside caution, not excitement performing on the surface. Not the obvious facts, but the small things people only store when they care. Your strange coffee order, the song you mocked, the deadline stressing you out. Memory follows emotional tagging, and attraction quietly tags details as more important. That is why someone hiding interest often knows more about you than she admits. Her cover story says casual, but her memory says you have been on her mind. Another powerful sign is when she lightly challenges you instead of simply agreeing. A lot of hidden attraction comes out as teasing, skepticism, or playful resistance. Why would she do that when she could just stay pleasant and forgettable? Because indifference rarely invests energy, but attraction often tests the emotional strength in front of it. She wants to see if you crumble, over-explain, or stay centered under pressure. If her teasing has focus, emotional precision, and repeated attention, pay close attention. Especially if she watches your reaction more carefully than the joke itself. That means the real conversation is not verbal, it is psychological underneath everything. Then there is the proximity signal people miss because it looks accidental. She does not sit directly beside you, but somehow she keeps ending up nearby. At group events, she rotates through conversations, then lands inside your physical orbit again. That is because attraction seeks access even when pride refuses to seek openly. The body wants more chances, more timing, more spontaneous moments to happen. It is attraction trying to create opportunity while still protecting her ego. One of the biggest giveaways is when she reacts differently to your attention. Not just when you give it, but when you take it away. If she seemed calm, then suddenly becomes curious after you pull back. Notice that. Attraction hidden behind restraint often reveals itself through contrast, not consistency alone. What changes her behavior is not the room, it is your emotional position inside it. And once you start tracking contrast, mixed signals begin making uncomfortable sense. A woman hiding attraction often becomes more self-conscious about how she appears around you. She fixes her hair, checks her clothes, adjusts her voice, or suddenly looks composed. People think grooming always means vanity, but often it means perceived importance. We polish ourselves more carefully when someone specific matters to our nervous system. So if she casually transforms the second you enter the frame, log it. And pattern recognition is the entire game here, not single moments taken personally. That matters because lonely minds often turn one smile into a fantasy and one delay into disaster. Do not do that to yourself because desperation makes perception blurry fast. You are not looking for a magic sign, you are tracking repeated emotional leakage. Now let us talk about the mistake that causes the biggest embarrassment. Assuming hidden attraction means guaranteed interest, guaranteed timing, or guaranteed access to her. It does not, because attraction can exist alongside fear, standards, confusion, or a closed door. This changes everything, because your job is not to force the outcome. Your job is to read the room clearly, respond well, and keep dignity. Neediness begs for certainty, but confidence can tolerate ambiguity without losing control. And ironically, that emotional control is exactly what hidden attraction is quietly scanning for. A woman who likes you but does not trust you yet will watch composure closely. Can you stay present without pushing, relax without retreating, and warm without begging? So when you sense hidden attraction, do less than your insecurity wants. Hold eye contact a beat longer, then let the moment breathe naturally. Ask one grounded question instead of launching a performance you will regret. Respond warmly, but do not rush to prove you noticed every signal. Why does this work so well when every insecure instinct tells you to chase harder? Because attraction deepens when both people feel choice, not pressure, inside the interaction. Pressure kills honesty, and hidden attraction needs honesty before it can safely surface. A woman hiding interest may not praise you directly, but she notices competition immediately. Her questions change, her tone shifts, or she suddenly wants more context. When she thought she had emotional distance, your value felt manageable enough. The moment another option appears, that distance suddenly becomes harder to maintain. Again, do not use this to manipulate, just use it to understand. Social intelligence is about reading truth, not manufacturing insecurity in other people. And that brings us to the deepest signal of all, emotional softening. Even guarded women soften in tiny ways around someone they secretly like. The voice lowers, the sarcasm melts, the pace slows, the eyes warm. She may still act composed, but for a second, the armor becomes human. That is the moment you should notice most because it is hardest to fake. And once you recognize that, you stop being hypnotized by loud personalities. You start seeing the quiet signals that actually reveal where attention and emotion live. This is where your confidence should come from, not from guessing you are irresistible. Real confidence comes from observation, patience, and not needing instant validation constantly. You do not need every woman to like you to become socially powerful. You need the skill to notice who is actually emotionally responding to you. That skill changes dating, conversations, timing, and even how you carry yourself. Because when you stop chasing certainty, you start noticing truth everywhere around you. And truth is calmer than fantasy, but far more useful in real life. If she is hiding attraction, the signs will repeat because emotions struggle to stay buried. Not perfectly, not constantly, but consistently enough for a grounded person to recognize. And if the signs do not repeat, that is useful information too. Because clarity protects you from wasting months decoding someone who is simply unavailable. That is not failure, that is emotional accuracy, and accuracy builds confidence fast. The goal is not to become paranoid, hyper-analytical, or weirdly suspicious. The goal is to become calm enough to see what was always there. You are not broken for missing these signals before because most people were never taught. They were taught to look for obvious interest and ignore emotional contradiction. But contradiction is often the doorway when attraction is fighting pride or uncertainty. So the next time she seems distant, do not instantly assume rejection. Ask whether the distance feels flat or whether it feels charged instead. Watch the eyes, the timing, the memory, the teasing, the proximity, the softening. Watch whether she becomes affected, not whether she becomes perfectly smooth around you. That distinction will save you from forcing things and from giving up too soon. And both mistakes are expensive because one kills opportunity and the other kills dignity. The man who reads hidden attraction well does not become pushy, he becomes precise. He stops chasing ghosts and he stops ignoring real signals out of fear. He becomes easier to trust because he is not trying to steal certainty. And that calm precision is often what allows hidden attraction to finally breathe openly. So if this keeps happening to you, stop calling yourself unlucky or clueless. You may just be looking for the wrong version of interest entirely. The loud version is easy, but the hidden version is usually more honest. Because it slips out before strategy can clean it up and make it safe. And once you understand that, social situations stop feeling random and personal. They start feeling breathable, which makes you calmer, sharper, and more attractive immediately. That is the real upgrade here, not a trick, but a new lens. A lens that sees hidden emotion without needing to panic, fantasize, or force. And once you have that lens, people reveal far more than they think. If you want, keep this in mind the next time silence feels confusing. Sometimes silence is empty, but sometimes silence is attraction trying not to speak.